Just a last point, Sir Oreta, I cannot ask the AMLC here because there's a bank secrecy, no? But if it really, the money really went to you, masusundan yan eh. So are you ready to waive the bank secrecy of Noble Care para makita kung saan napunta yung pera?
I'm sorry, I'm not ready to do that.
Okay. But do you confirm that in one day, about 100 million was withdrawn?
I neither confirm nor deny.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
The chair acknowledges the presence of Senators Osmena and Marcos. Welcome. Senator Angara is recognized.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just to pursue some of the points raised and questions raised by our colleagues earlier, Senator Cayetano, Senator Trillanes, regarding the BSP. Matanong ko lang po yung sa BSP. What is the correct? Did I hear it right na you mentioned, sir, na the BSP is a private entity?
Ang history po ng Boy Scouts of the Philippines, simula nang tinatag siya noong 1936, bagamat meron siyang charter, ay private po ang operation niya. Matter of fact, hanggang ngayon po, ang mga empleyado niya ay covered by SSS and not by GSIS. No? And ever since, up to the time na lumabas nga yung Supreme Court decision na naging final and executory noong March of 2012, ay private firm din po ang nag-audit ng lahat ng transactions ng Boy Scouts of the Philippines. At ito po yung Sisip Gores and Belayo Company. Kaya nga po, naging buong GOCC kami, simula nung naging final and executory, ang decision ng Korte Suprema, at simula din noon, we have since implemented and observed and complied with the government accounting and auditing rules and regulations. Kaya nga po meron ng COA auditing unit sa mismong office ng Boy Scouts of the Philippines.
So, kumbaga, ang tingin nyo, dati private entity kayo, pero nung naging final and executory na yung Supreme Court decision na BSP versus COA, ano na ang characterization nyo dun sa BSP?
GOCC na po.
GOCC na.
So we were classified by the Governance Commission for Government-Owned or Controlled Corporation as a sui generis, meaning a class of its own.
Okay. So, subject na kayo to GOCC rules, etc.
Po,
Yung regulation ng GCG, etc. Pag may mga transactions kayo going forward, kailangan magkonsulta kayo sa OGCC, etc. etc.
Opo.
So, gagawin na ho yun.
Ginagawa na po namin.
Ginagawa niyo.
Opo.
Okay.
And as an offshoot of the recharacterization of the BSP, we were duty-bound as well to come up with a reorganization study and rationalization plan. Okay. Sang-ayon na sa kumbaga kung GOCC ka na. Okay. Dahil kailangan sundin mo na yung patakaran ng gobyerno.
Sa ilalim ng GCG law, may karapatan ng Pangulo na palitan yung pinuno ng isang government-owned and controlled and corporation, di ba? GOCC?
Opo.
Every year, di ba? Pwedeng baguhin yan, di ba?
Opo, but not in the case of
not in the case of Boy Scouts.
BSP. Kaya nga po tinawag na sui generis siya, class of its own, because together with the Girl Scouts of the Philippines, I think if I'm not mistaken, this is the GOCCs where the President cannot exercise his power to appoint any member of the board because all the members of the board kasi are elected.
When you say sui generis, kayo lang yon.
Opo.
So you are
all the others po.
You are the only GOCC. The BSP is the only GOCC na hindi pwedeng palitan ng Pangulo, ang hepe.
Opo.
Okay.
Kasi ang nature ng character po kasi ng Boy Scout is a voluntary organization.
Okay.
So pag nag-volunteer ka, you don't have to be appointed.
I see.
And then, but the process is before you can serve, you have to be elected.
Okay. Naintindihan ko po, Mr. Chairman. Ngayon ho, anong ang tingin niyong pinanghahawakan ng Boy Scouts dito sa transaction ninyo sa Alpha Land? How would you characterize it?
Ano po kami? We are an investor in a joint venture agreement.
So, nung pumasok kayo dyan, negosyo yan. Pumasok kayo sa negosyo.
In effect.
In effect, no?
Oho, kasi apart from purely scouting activities, may corporate powers din kasi
Right,
yung
right.
yung Boy Scouts of the Philippines
Okay.
with respect to its properties.
Pero as a government corporation, kumbaga parang yung tinatawag sa English na fiduciary. May
Yung
relasyon
trust
kayo
po
na
yan.
tiwala.
Opo.
So, kanino nyo pinangangalagaan yung salapi ng Boy Scouts? Sino ang tingin yung stakeholders ninyo?
And trust po yan sa lahat ng members ng Boy
Ilan
Scouts.
po ang miyembro ng Boy
Sa
Scouts?
ngayon po, nasa 2.2 million po.
Okay, 2.2 million.
Opo.
So, dahil sinabi nyo kanina, pumasok kayo sa negosyo, may risk and reward, di ba? Just like any other business venture, may danger of losing that.
Yes, Your
that,
Honor. Ganun po
so,
talaga.
naisipan ng board yan siguro nung in-approve niyo yung transaksyon.
Mhm.
So, ano yung patakaran nyo o ano yung mga ginawa nyo para ma-safeguard dahil aminado ho kayo na you are holding that investment in trust. Ibig sabihin at some future point you have to pay it out to the beneficiary, di ba? So ano yung mga ginawa nyo para ma-safeguard ho yung ma-minimize ho yung tinatawag na investment risk?
Doon po sa naging usapan na nung mapalitan, no? Ang nature and character namin, no, na doon sa inumpisahan ni Mr. Mercado noon na joint venture agreement na lupa baga ang aming equity ay nung nagkaroon ng pagbabago dahil po binenta ng Boy Scouts sa Alphaland yung lupa, humingi naman po kami ng corporate guarantee. No? Now, whatever happens to the project, ay maibabalik at least yung value ng lupa at the time it was entered into that joint venture agreement as BSP's equity.
Can you expound further, Mr. Chairman?
Nasa ano po yan eh?
Dun sa corporate
Nasa
guarantee.
mismong
Oo.
joint venture agreement po yan.
What does it say? Can you
Na-
read it, please? Oh.
That's section 6 of the joint venture agreement under 6.2. Sinasabi po, except as expressly allowed under this agreement, the landowner shall not alienate, sell, transfer, or otherwise convey the land or any portion thereof, and shall not allow any pledge, lien, or any other encumbrance to be established over the land or registered, annotated on the certificate of title covering the land, with the exception of this agreement. Without prejudice to the preceding sentence, the landowner hereby acknowledges and agrees that the developer has exclusive rights to use the land, and the developer is entitled to use the land as collateral or security in relation to any financing needs within the scope of the project, and the landowner hereby expressly agrees to act as a third-party mortgagor with respect to the land for purposes of securing any such financing, subject to applicable laws. In the event that the developer is unable to finish the project and to repay the loan, then the developer shall be obliged to buy, and the landowner shall be obliged to sell the land and all the improvements thereon for a consideration of 600 million. And in this regard, Alpha Land Corporation agrees to issue a corporate guarantee in favor of the landowner to guarantee the payment of 600 million in the event that the developer is obliged to buy the land.
Ang guarantee nyo lang is your original investment. Yung, okay.
Dahil po kasi, siyempre, negosyo yan, it might...
ang guarantee is only for the original valuation of the
Opo.
60%.
At that time, it was subjected to that joint venture agreement.
Ang sabi ng Alpha Land is that pabor to sa BSP. Anong tingin ng board doon? Do you agree with that? Or?
Lumalabas po sa... nakikita naman yung project, and natapos na rin yung podium, pati yung parking areas. At yun nga po, kakapirma lang nga ng deed of conveyance doon sa entire third floor kasi yun ang share namin doon sa podium, which is 15% and a little over that of the podium. So, nasa amin na po yun, at matter of fact, kumikita na po yun dahil previous to the conveyance, ay ginagamit nga po ng Alpha Land, so they have to pay us monthly rental.
Ano yung nasa amin na yon? Yung renta?
Yung ano po, yung third floor, entire third
ginagamit
floor.
nila yun.
Oh, kasi ang
Ginagamit nila
share
yun.
ng Boy Scout is on the gross floor area.
Saan yung ginagamit yung third floor na yun? Yung...
Sa ngayon po, pinag-uusapan pa nga po ng board kung ano ba talaga. Because originally, the intention was to make that as a convention center.
Mhm. Third floor? The land, the whole property.
Hindi yung third floor lang ho.
Third floor, gagawing convention center.
Ng Boy Scout ho.
Mhm.
Among others. And in fact, one of the
Gano'ng kalaki yun? How big is that?
6,000 mahigit po square meters. And therefore, it is up to the board precisely to come up with a master development plan on how to utilize the entire third floor.
Yung...
Pero ngayon po, kumikita na siya. At in fact, mayroon pang isang offer from the Victory Church, no, to also occupy a portion. At yan po ay pinag-uusapan pa ng
yung
National
interest
Executive
nyo
Board.
dyan sa transaction ninyo, you are free to dispose of it. Walang restriction on your right to
Wala po.
sell,
Wala po.
to dispose of the use of rock, etc. Ganon.
Wala po.
Lahat
Dahil-
po ng property rights intact
Opo,
ng
dahil
BSP.
ang amin lang po talagang share na dyan is kung magkano yung 15% of the entire gross floor area on the parking space, on the podium, and on the 3 towers. Yun po ang talagang share namin based on the joint venture agreement. So wala pong ibibigay sa aming pera ang project, ang joint venture agreement, kundi yung share namin doon sa gross floor area.
Yes, yes. Wala kayong tinanggap na cash. That's established already with
Mhm.
the testimonies earlier. Pero, ang tanong ko, pag dinicide ng Boy Scouts na gusto namin mag-cash in, there's nothing to stop you from doing so.
Oo, kasi amin na yun kumbaga. So
Okay.
we can sell it, we can have it managed by a third party, we can be the one to manage it. Depende po sa desisyon
Okay,
ng
so ang
Boy
tanong
Scout.
ko, Mr. Chair, ano yung hawak nyo ngayon na pwede nyong ibenta kung gustuhin nyo? Aside from that whole third floor. Yung mga binanggit na parking lots, for example, pwede nyo ibenta yon?
Sa ngayon po, hindi namin pwedeng sabihin na ibenta yon kasi kailangan no namin ng ng approval ng National Council.
Yes, yes. But I'm saying, assuming you get that approval, assuming na lahat ng formalidad, lahat ng proseso, Mr. Chair, ay nasundan, the Boy Scouts as an entity can decide to sell all of these things. So you can cash in. On one. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chairman,
With the permission of Senator Angara,
Okay.
and interjection from Senator Trillanes.
well, thank you, Senator Angara. Just to pursue that point, Attorney Oreta mentioned about the 600,000 pesos per month rental fee that the Boy Scouts have been receiving. Since when, Attorney Abisado?
Since January of last year po.
January of last year,
2014.
2014. Would you have any receipts to show us to prove that the payments were indeed made?
Meron, pumasok na po sa namin yan, sa finance division.
Okay, when?
Nagbayad po sila.
When?
Based on their letter to us dated December 16
Of
of last year.
last year, 2014.
Binuo po nila yung
Okay.
payment from January to December.
So, retroactive lang.
Oo.
After nalaman na iimbestigahan na itong Boy Scouts and Alpha Land Deal. So, hindi ito totoo na last year pa binibigyan na kayo ng checks since January of 2014, but lump sum payment itong binigay sa inyo noong December, retroactive January of 2014. Is that correct, Attorney Abisado?
Opo, dahil previous to this,
So,
pag nag-uusap po kami, in fact, binisita din po namin yung area na inoccupy nila. And it is our agreement that meantime na hindi pa na to turn over sa amin yung
Okay.
third floor at ginagamit nyo, rerentahan nyo. At sinabi na naman nila na rerentahan nila.
yes, I understand. Pero the impression created to us was, kumikita na sila all this time. Hindi. Nagbayad lang ho after the revelation of Vice Mayor Mercado about this issue last December 2015. Pero the payment was made to appear that it started last January 2014. So, i-correct lang natin yung impression. This can be an afterthought. Okay? For all intents and purposes, it is. Dahil, lumabas lang ito, binayaran lang kayo nung nagreklamo na. So, just to set the record straight, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chair, just on that point, no, Mr. Chair. Sir Chair, can you confirm na yung cheque was paid on January 23, 2015? Yung cheque po ng 7 million. Or yung rent na sinasabi nila sa dyaryo na 1 taon na daw.
Yes, Your Honor, this was sent to us in January.
23, 2015.
I'm not mistaken.
One day after our hearing ng January 22, 2015.
I will check with the
So kung
finance group.
hindi pa ho kami
Your Honor.
nag-hearing, hindi yung pasisingilin.
The management committee, as I've said, chaired by former Governor Obet Pagdangana. No?
So hindi nyo ba,
nakikipag-meeting
hindi
po
ba
kami sa
kailangan ng
kanila.
pera ng BSP? Kasi like sa amin, sa Siyudad ng Taguig, I'm sure sa Makati, parati nagsusulisit kasi kawawa, maraming mahirap sa BSP eh. And one reason na ginawa tong deal na to, para magkapera ang BSP. Pero kung hindi pa nagka-hearing, hindi nyo pa sisingilin. After 8 years, sir, you only gained 7 million. Mr. Oreta already made 600 million. Yung worth ng shares niya na nakuha niya from 2008 is already worth more than 500 million. Kayo sa Boy Scout, sa inyong lupa, you've only gotten 7 million and you're sitting here telling us okay lang yon in behalf of the 2.2 million Boy Scouts.
Ang totoo po niyan, kung kailan po natapos yung podium at nagkaroon na nga ng pagkakataon silang magamit, doon lang po kami kikita rin.
Eh, may
Kasi
kita na nga po
hindi-
kayong, sir. May
kaya
kita
nga
na po
po.
kayong 7 million,
Aha.
hindi nyo po kinuha. Okay?
Hindi nga po.
Until January 23. Pangalawa po, pwede kayong kumuha sa Tower 1 at 2. Hindi nyo rin kinuha. Pinili nyo 3. So for 8 years, eto sir, i-confirm nyo sa akin, so that will just speak for itself. Huwag na tayo mag-argue sa harap ng 2.2 million Boy Scouts. Between yung deal and hanggang January 22, 2015, ni isang kusing ba may nakuhang Boy Scout?
Doon sa deal po.
Oh.
Gross
in cash. In
po.
cash. Ni isang kusing, meron po ba? Wala.
Gross floor area po ang pinag-uusapan Wala pong cash involved dito.
Oo nga po. Pero yung gross floor
natin
area, kaya nyo
i-
po kukunin yun, sir, para either i-rent o
Mr.
ibenta.
Chairman, can I just interject here? I'm a little confused. Are we talking about profit-taking already on the joint project, or are we talking about rental?
Di po.
Any income,
Ano yung
sir,
basically-
we're talking about any income, sir, because certain officials like Mr. Oreta, from 2008 to 2012, or VP Binay, depends on who's telling the truth, kung sa kanya napunta or doon, already made 500 million from this deal. Diba? Yung condo naman po, hindi nyo titiran yun eh. Either para rent o bebenta nyo yun eh. So the sooner that the BSP gets its money, the better, diba? Kaya pinayagan ng board na magka-deal na to dahil sinabi nyo, bibigyan nyo ng 1 million per council at i-improve nyo yung facilities ng BSP. But in the meantime, from 2008 na pinasok nyo tong deal na to, hanggang January 22 nung nag-hearing kami, ni isang kusing, ni 1 centavo, walang pumunta sa Boy Scout. Yes or no lang yung po yun.
In terms
In
of...
cash po, in cash, 1
I'd like to
centavo.
qualify po kasi ang share nga po namin based on the joint venture agreement is based on the gross floor area.
Yes nga,
so
sir.
wala po tayong perang pag-uusapan doon.
Hindi totoo yan, sir. Because yung matagal na natapos yung Tower 1 eh. Kung kinuha nyo yung share nyo sa Tower 1 at nirentahan nyo o binenta nyo na yun, may pera na kayo. Pero hindi nyo po kinuha. Pinabayaan
Hindi
nyo po sila na ilipat kayo ng ilipat dun sa Tower 3. Kaya ang simpleng tanong ko, sa 2.2 million na taga-BSP na nagtatanong ngayon, Sir, graduate na yung iba. Sir, hirap na hirap kami pag may mga jamboree. Sir, yung iba hindi makasama dahil walang pera. Ni isang kusing ba may napunta sa inyo hanggang January 22, 2015? Yes or no? Meron po o wala?
Based on the assumption...
No, sir. Based on your bank
Hindi po.
account.
Based on the assumption na nakuha na namin yung area namin at binenta namin, dapat meron na.
Dapat, pero wala
Oo.
nga po.
Hindi nga po, dahil based doon sa 3 towers,
Sir,
yung pa yung
Alam mo,
pinag-uusapan ho
alam mo ang
namin.
problema, sir?
Mm.
Sadyan yung nililito ang publiko eh.
Hindi po namin
Sadyan
nililito
yung
ang
pinapaikot
publiko.
yung lahat ng kumpanya at lahat ng financial na transaksyon eh.
Ano?
'Di ba? Kung kinuha nyo na maaga at if you negotiated better, you would have already had some cash. So you don't find it unfair, sir, that someone like Mr. Oreta who put this deal together will already have 500 million pesos and the Boy Scouts for the last 8 years has zero. You don't find it unfair?
Kung yun
Ang
sa
share po niya
500
tumataas
million
din.
po, hindi po namin alam yun.
Eh, kaya nga ngayon,
Kaya
sinasabi
nga
ko sa inyo, but
kaya
you
nga
don't
po,
seem
ang
outraged.
i-insist din po namin
Sir,
kung
we're,
ano yung
we're
saganang
telling you
amin.
now, but you're not being outraged. You know, if you didn't do this deal, magkano na po ang worth ng property nyo ngayon? A couple of billion pesos. And how much did you get? 7 million so far. And then you keep sitting here and saying it's a good deal.
We're not saying po na yan lang ang kikitain ng Boy Scouts of the Philippines.
But hindi yun ang point.
Po.
Ang point, magkano dapat ang kinita nyo na? And it's not point if it's a good deal. The point is it the best deal. That's why sa anti-graft, hindi lang po bad deals. Pati po yung mga deals na kailangan mas maganda sana. That's why meron po tayong anti-graft law na sinasabi po na pag detrimental to the public, di ba, kakasuhan pa rin. And
Opo.
simple lang tanong ko, ba't ayaw nyo sagutin ng diretsyo?
Sinasagot
Until
ko
January
naman po.
22, 2015, ni isang kusing ba may pumasok sa inyong bank account?
Yung
Yes or
pong
no?
7.6 million po.
Ng January 23, January 22 po, one day before, ni isang kusing in the last 7 years of this deal, did you get a single centavo?
Wala po.
Okay. Yun lang po naman ang tinatanong ko, sir.
Hindi po kasi kino-qualify ko eh.
Sir,
We are allowed naman po. Pareho tayo
yes,
abogado.
sir.
So we
Yes,
can
sir.
qualify.
But you're supposed to answer first, then qualify. Because I
Yeah.
can also qualify. Oh, let me qualify now. If on the first year, in the first tower, kinuha nyo na 15% nyo, magkano na sana pera nyo at interest doon?
Subject to agreement po kasi ng both parties yun.
Kaya nga, at kayo
Kaya
ang
nga
hindi
po.
kumuha, di ba, sir?
Hindi nga
nyo
po
kinuha,
kasi
sir.
it's a process that has
Sir,
to be done.
Ang original
Na-
agreement nyo is 15%
Maliwanag
of...
po sa joint venture agreement.
Sir,
that-
hindi ba
that
maliwanag
the
sa
two
joint
teams
venture
will
agreement?
meet and agree
Sa
on the
original
method.
agreement, sir, sa original agreement, you have 15% of Tower 1, Tower 2,
On
Tower 3, and the convention center. Yes or no?
Yes.
Oh, hindi nyo nga kinuha, binago nyo yung agreement, nilipat
Hindi
nyo
ho.
lahat sa Tower 3 eh.
Hindi ho. That's not true. That's not true. Ang third floor ng podium is our share.
Kinuha
In
nyo
the
ba yung
podium.
share nyo sa Tower 1 and 2?
Yun na nga po continuing
Hindi nyo
negotiation
ba
namin.
Mr. Vice Mayor, can I ask you, no? Ikaw nag-negotiate niyan. Tama po ba yung sinasabi ko na dapat 15% ng Tower 1, 2, and 3?
Doon po sa pinirmahan kong joint venture at base sa napag-usapan, lahat ho kami, ang Boy Scout ho ay entitled sa lahat ng itatayong gusali, pati yung rentable, kung yan man ay ginamit na restaurant, ginamit na mall, o anumang gamit,
So madaling sabi, Vice, kung sinunod nila yung original, dapat for the last few years may pumapasok na at may nagagamit na pera ang Boy Scout.
Yun po ang inaasahan ko kasi po, Mr. Senator, nung ipa-approve po namin ito sa Annual National Council na present ang mga representative ng bawat region, ang ating pong Vice Presidente at ako ay nangako doon na aprobahan na natin itong transaksyong ito kasi magbibigay ang National Headquarter ng 1 million pesos sa bawat isang council para ma-improve ang pagpapatakbo at pagpapaayos ng iba't ibang council ng Boy Scout sa buong Pilipinas. Eh yun po, hanggang ngayon, ewan ko kung saan nila kukunin yung ipinangakong yun. Ilang taon na po namin ipinangako yun. Ang lahat po ng council ay umaasa doon sa 1 million na yun.
Kasi nga, Mr. Abisado,
ang naiiwan po yung pangako.
Ang councils
May
po-
respond to that, Your
Excuse me,
Honor.
before how many councils all in all?
Dati po, kung hindi ako
Excuse me.
nagkakamali, 111 council kami. Hindi ko lang po alam kung nadagdagan na.
Oh, sige po.
Mr. Chairman, let me just put on the record. Mr. Abisado, hindi ka kasi nagkwa-qualify, nag-explain ka eh. May mga tanong na yes or no na pwede i-qualify. Pero kung may natanggap kayo ni Kusing isa o na, walang qualification doon, yes or no. Then you explain why. And you keep saying it's by agreement. Kayo ngang dalawang party ang change ng agreement eh. Sa original agreement, you get 15% of Tower 1, 2, and 3. Tapos na yung Tower 1 and 2. Tapos na ho, di ba yung Tower 1 and 2?
For the record, please, tapos na ba ang towers 1 and 2?
Mr. Chairman, Senator,
Mr. Ongpin?
as I said, made very clear before, unfortunately, it was previous to the arrival of Senator Allen. But Towers 1 and 2 will not be completed until toward the end of this year. We have not delivered a single apartment unit, although we have pre-sold, but not a single one. So, Senator Allen, it's not...
Thank you, Secretary. And I was listening, I have a TV. 3,000 na lang ngayon yung TV sa kotse na malinaw. So I was listening to both DZMM and sa Channel 7, no? And your disclosure, sir, to the stock exchange on July 2014 said na third tower na lang ang kulang. And even in the pre-selling, they should have gotten their 15%. Now, if they agreed not to get that, sir, I don't blame you for that. That's their bad negotiating. But I'm pointing out lang, sir, that Alpha Land is getting its share. And you're a businessman, that's your job, and you're negotiating. But sila, wala pang nakukuha. So is it bad negotiating, bad contract, or what? Nag-pre-sell sila eh. Dapat pati sa pre-sell may 15% kayo. Kasi sir, hindi naman to katulad ng korporasyon that can last 25, 50 years and the shareholders can get it anytime. Ang Boy Scouts gumagraduate eh. Ang Boy Scouts tumatanda, lumalaki eh. So yung mga hindi nakasama sa mga activities ngayon, dahil walang pera, dahil hindi nyo kinuha, nag-suffer na sila. 8 years na sir, 7 years na eh. 2008 to now eh. That's my point, and I was asking you, Sir Visado, because sa mga dyaryo, pinapalabas nyo na nagbe-benefit ang Boy Scout. Yung pala yung cheque, 1 day after. Hindi nyo sisingilin pa kung hindi pa nagkaroon ng hearing.
Hindi naman po sa hindi siningil.
Mr. Chairman,
in the previous meetings
let us
po
allow Attorney Visado to finish.
in the previous meetings nga po ng Management Committee at ng counterpart namin sa Alpha Land, we already told them that kahit na hindi pa yan nakukonvey sa amin yung third floor dahil ginagamit nyo na, kailangan na marentahan yan para kumita ang Boy Scout.
Rental income po yun, okay. Klaro po yun.
Rental income lang po yun.
Tower 3, sir, when will it be finished for the record?
Siguro 2016.
So it's not the entire project will be finished at the end of this year. Yan
No, sir.
Yan ang pagkaintindi ko sa statement kanina.
Hindi po. Ang matatapos ho by the end of this year are Towers 1 and 2. Yung Tower 3 po is 2016.
2016. Senator Marcos,
Yes,
with the permission of Senators Angara and Cayetano.
Yeah, it's
Okay
just,
lang?
no,
Okay.
actually, it's
Senator Marcos,
clarification because I came in late. I'm just a little confused as to this 500 million. Mr. Oreta, you have realized a 500 million profit from this deal?
No, sir.
So what is this
did not.
500 million that,
I-
that you have gained?
I'm in a quandary where it's coming from because
I will explain. I will explain if you cannot explain.
Oh, then yes, please.
Okay. Yung pong Sime Darby, ang sa kanila lang yung improvements.
Yes.
Kasi nung bawal na yung foreigners mag-ari ng lupa eh. Di ba? So, sabi ni VP Binay, wag na natin pag-awayan kung pwede to ipalis ulit ng 25 years dahil gusto ngang ng Boy Scout hindi na ipalis. So sabi, ibenta na lang natin to. So yung Sime Darby, nilipat niya yung interest niya sa Silvertown. No? Ang Silvertown po, ang binayad dito ay 12,000 per share. Okay? So ngayon, ang Silvertown ay nagbigay po ng 5% sa Noble Care. Na sinasabi po ni Vice Mayor, correct me anytime, Mr. Oreta, no? Na yun daw ang kickback ni Vice President. Sabi naman ni Secretary Ongpin, hindi. Yan ay 5% na binayad ko dahil partner ko si Mr. Oreta. Kasama sa deal namin yon. Pero, hindi dineclare ni Mr. Oreta yon as income. Binayaran at par value of only 10 pesos instead of 12,000 per share. Okay? And then, over and above that, nagkaroon ng Noble Care ng loan from Alpha Land na 100.4 million na later kinondone pero wala pa tayo doon. Okay? On November 11, Alpha Land Development Inc. bought back the 2,031 shares of Noble Care in Silvertown. No? It also condones the 100.4 million peso loan. And then it issues shares of Alpha Land to Noble, 8.9 million shares. Pero par value lang at 10 pesos. Pero at that point in time, it was already worth 60 pesos average, no? A low of 45, a high of 70 something in the stock market, no? So ibig sabihin, Senator, yung 5% na binayad kay Mr. Oreta, pinalitan siya ng 8.9 million shares. 8.9 million times 60 is about 450, almost 500 million pesos. And by the way, November 11, 2010 was the birthday of the Vice President. That's why ang sinasabi ng iba doon, hindi kay Mr. Oreta to, pero birthday gift. In 2012, sinabi ni Mr. Ongpin and his knowledge, nandun lang kay Mr. Oreta yung shares dahil partner niya. Mr. Ongpin, Secretary Ongpin, will have no knowledge of this dahil wala naman siyang shares sa Noble Care, no? But meron siya sa Alpha Land. Between October and December ng 2012, nawala na yung shares ng Alpha Land sa Noble Care.
Mr. Senator, may I
Yes.
correct that, please?
Yes,
Because
sir.
that is simply incorrect.
Which part, sir?
Hindi, the fact that between that date na wala yung shares ng Noble Care,
Wala, sir, sa disclosure, sa...
it is in there, in the PSD. Those are all shares. Any shareholder can choose to lodge it, and it doesn't mean it's disappeared. I think Mr. Oreta can produce these shares
Sir,
anytime.
it was
I think,
first
Mr.
in the
Chairman,
name. Sir, let me just point out, no? It was first in the name as of September 30. It was number 8 under Noble Care. Okay, if you put it in the PSD, that can still support that it was given to Binay, and that's why it's in the broker so that he can get it anytime.
No. It was in the Mr. Senator. It was in the broker because we were publicly listed at that time.
No, sir. It was already.
It was lodged.
It can be in the PCD, then you move it to your name. Baliktad po eh. September 30, 2012, nasa Noble Care, nasa number 8 po kayo.
Opo.
Okay? Ang PCD shares noon was 511,000 shares. Okay? So, sa inyo po yung 8,000. On 2012, nilipat
million.
nyo po. Bakit
8
nyo po nilipat?
Itinaas lang ho sa Alpha Land Corporation.
No, you said you put it in the PCD.
Yes, it was lodged.
And none of these are in your financial statements.
You know why it was not? It was lodged. That's why it did not appear in that list, Mr. Senator.
So, Mr. Oreta, where are they sitting? These shares, where are they now? They're sitting in Treasury?
No, they're mine. I have them. I have
Here, sir.
the.
Here's
I have
your
the shares.
financial
So,
statement, sir.
have you profit taken off of the shares because of the increase in the
I
value?
have not taken.
So,
I have
you-
not sold the shares.
Have you paid taxes on income that you have derived from those shares?
There is no income that I derive from because I have
But
not sold those
the
shares.
Senator Alan
Here's the financial
has explained that there is a 500 million
That is totally untrue, Mr. Senator.
That's only from appreciation
Yes,
of the value?
because I
So
have
that
not
is a
sold the
paper
shares. The
profit?
shares are still with me.
Mr.
How can
Oreta,
I
that is-
derive
that is
income?
only a paper profit, you're saying?
Well, yes, sir.
You have not received 500 million, put it in your pocket, paid taxes on it, and spent it?
I have not received a single centavo from those shares.
Senator
So
Marcos,
it
2
is
points.
Oo.
Two points not to clarify this. Number 1, hindi po nag-appreciate. At the time that it was averaging 60 pesos, you only paid 10 pesos for it. And you booked it in 2011 at 88 million. But at 2012, when it disappeared from the Alpha Land roster, it also disappeared from your financial statement. Ito po, blinangko nyo na yung non-current assets nyo, blinangko nyo na as of that day. And that's why I'm asking you to open your account. Because I have information that it was transferred to you-know-who. But they refused to open their account, so hindi natin makikita kung saan. So that's your story, sir, that nandyan. But we're talking about 500 million worth of Alpha Land shares here. That's the price, 60 pesos times 9 million shares, 450 million, plus the 100 million loan that we haven't explained. So, Senator Marcos,
Mr.
all
Chair.
of that 550 million are all parts of the transaction ng Boy Scout. That's my context in saying, buti pa sila, may 550 million na ang Boy Scouts until January
But
2020.
surely there should be, because the Boy Scouts have equity in the project. surely the valuation of their equity has increased commensurately with the increase in the value of the 5% equity. So again, it's a paper profit. It's not yet cash
Yeah,
in
we haven't
in
gone
hand.
into that, but if they got the proceeds of their pre-selling So if they got part of the pre-selling, napa-interesan nila, nagamit na nila yung
Abisado,
pera.
yung hawak ninyo, yung equity ninyo, ano yung value na original at the beginning of the project? Ano yung value ng equity ngayon ng hawak ng BSP ngayong araw na ito?
Based on the records, Your Honor, sa umpisa talaga, ang value ng share namin do sa property was appraised at 600 million. Therefore, yun ang pinasok namin
So today,
doon sa joint venture
today,
agreement.
what is the
As of
value
August
of
of last
that
year,
interest?
per official communication from Alpha Land, because that was one of the audit observation memorandum that we received from COA na hindi daw nag-move yung investment namin. So, per their letter, sinabi nila na umakyat na to 909 million as of last year yung aming investment.
So, yung valor nung hawak ninyong equity, tumaas mula ng 600 hanggang, na-liquidate nyo na ba yun? Yung 300 million?
Hindi po, kasi ano lang yun appreciation lamang yun doon sa aming
Appreciation lamang.
equity.
So
ang share,
yung appreciation nung kay Mr. Oreta, ganun din yung may appreciation din naman yung hawak ninyong shares na equity ninyo sa project.
doon po sa base po doon sa gross floor area. Doon lang po kami. So walang cash involved po doon until such time we are able to get our share and we decide
So,
what to do with it.
Mr. Oreta, just to be clear again, have you liquidated have you liquidated and turned into cash the increase in value of your 5% equity carried interest, as the phrase has been used?
No, no, sir.
So you
The
see-
shares,
you-
the 8,900,000 shares are still with Noble Care.
Okay, so the situation with BSP and with the BSP's equity and your 5% carried interest is the same.
Yes.
That it is a paper profit and it has not been liquidated into cash. That cash has not been used, has not been paid taxes upon. Okay, and now I'm beginning to understand. Thank you for clarifying that.
The permission of
Just a last point, Sir Reta, I cannot ask the AMLC here because there's a bank secrecy, no? But if it really, the money really went to you, masusundan yan So are you ready to waive the bank secrecy of Noble Care para makita kung saan napunta yung pera?
I'm sorry, I'm not ready to do that.
Okay. But do you confirm that in one day, about 100 million was withdrawn?
I neither confirm nor deny.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
the chair acknowledges the presence of Senators Osmena and Marcos. Welcome. Senator Angara is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just to pursue some of the points raised and questions raised by our colleagues earlier, Senator Cayetano, Senator Trillanes, regarding the BSP. Matanong ko lang po yung sa BSP. What is subject na kayo to GOCC rules, etc. Yung regulation ng GCG, etc. Pag may mga transactions kayo going forward, kailangan magkonsulta kayo sa OGCC, etc. etc.
Opo.
So gagawin na ho niyo yun.
Ginagawa na po namin.
Ginagawa niyo.
Opo.
Okay.
And as an offshoot of the recharacterization of the BSP, we were duty-bound as well to come up with a reorganization study and rationalization plan. Sang-ayon na sa kumbaga kung GOCC ka na. Dahil kailangan sundin mo na yung patakaran ng gobyerno.
Sa ilalim ng GCG law, may karapatan ng Pangulo na palitan yung pinuno ng isang government-owned and controlled and corporation, di ba? GOCC.
Opo.
Every year, di ba? Pwedeng baguhin yan, di ba?
Opo, but not in the case of
Not in the case of Boy Scouts.
BSP. Kaya nga po tinawag na sui generis. Simula nung naging final and executory ang desisyon ng Korte Suprema at simula din noon, we have since implemented and observed and complied with the government accounting and auditing rules and regulations. Kaya nga po meron ng COA auditing unit sa mismong office ng Boy Scouts of the Philippines.
So, kumbaga, ang tingin nyo, dati private entity kayo, pero nung naging final and executory na yung Supreme Court decision na BSP versus COA, ano na ang characterization nyo dun sa BSP?
GOCC na po.
GOCC
Uh,
na.
so we were classified by the Governance Commission for Government-Owned or Controlled Corporation as a sui generis, meaning a class of its own.
Okay.
Po.
So, did I hear it right na you mentioned, sir, na the BSP is a private entity?
Ang history po ng Boy Scouts of the Philippines, simula nang tinatag siya noong 1936, bagamat meron siyang charter, ay private po ang operation niya. Matter of fact, hanggang ngayon po, ang mga empleyado niya ay covered by SSS and not by GSIS. No? And ever since, up to the time na lumabas nga yung Supreme Court decision, na naging final and executory noong March of 2012, ay private firm din po ang nag-audit ng lahat ng transactions ng Boy Scouts of the Philippines. At ito po yung Sisip Gores and Belayo Company. Kaya nga po, naging buong GOCC kami, meron siya, class of its own, because together with the Girl Scouts of the Philippines, I think if I'm not mistaken, this is the GOCCs where the President cannot exercise his power to appoint any member of the board because all the members of the board kasi are elected.
When you say sui generis, kayo lang yon.
Opo.
So you are
All the others po,
you are the only GOCC. The BSP is the only GOCC na hindi pwedeng palitan ng Pangulo, ang hepe.
opo.
Okay.
Kasi ang nature ng character po kasi ng Boy Scout is a voluntary organization.
Okay.
So pag nag-volunteer ka, you don't have to be appointed.
I see.
And then, but the process is before you can serve, you have to be elected.
Okay. Naintindihan ko po, Mr. Chairman. Ngayon ho, anong ang tingin niyong pinanghahawakan ng Boy Scouts dito sa transaction ninyo sa Alpha Land? How would you characterize it?
Ano po kami? We are an investor.